Welcome back. It's May, so this time of year, regardless of whether you're in zone 7, 8, 9, pretty much any U.S. zone, you should be planting something at this point. So we're talking today about 10 things that you must plant in May if you want your maximum summer garden. So the first thing is going to be summer squash. In our previous video, we talked about getting winter squash out. So hopefully by now you have your winter squash out. If you don't have your winter squash out, you can go ahead and put that out now. And alongside, also put your summer squash. It's going to get ready quicker, the summer squash, which is why we put the winter out first. Like here's a winter squash here, a spaghetti squash. But you can put your zucchinis out, your avocado squash, which is also called zapallo de tronco. So things like that, this is the prime time to get those out. And like I said, I've got them mixed in here. You got butternut squash, which is like a winter squash, is mixed in here too. So go ahead and get these out for your maximum summer garden. Number 2, our peas. So here, I'm in the south in zone 8. Black-eyed peas are really big crop here. This is actually the southern pea from California, the Southern California black-eyed pea, but they're really a strong crop here in the southeast. So this is one type that you can grow. You'll need something, of course, to trellis these on as they grow. Got a sugar and pea here also. And we've got one called hog brain also that grows well. So this is the time to get those peas out. Very nitrogen heavy, nitrogen fixing also for your soil. So if you need nitrogen in the soil, peas also conserve the nitrogen fix your soil. Okay, number 3, our peppers. Peppers take a long time to actually fully mature. This is the Purple Beauty pepper. It may not be doing a good job of focusing, but this is Purple Beauty. We've also got Cali Wonder and several other ones. There's a chocolate one I'll be putting out this year also. But peppers need calcium. If you look at our previous video, I discussed the kind of calcium I use, the oyster shell flour. And so just make sure you hit them with calcium. It could be eggshells or bone meal on a consistent basis. So these will grow to full maturity like they do and look like they do on the packet. Okay, corn. Corn has been kind of tricky for me. Last year I did grow full stalks. Make sure when you grow corn that you grow it in blocks. So you won't just be able to just grow like 2 seeds. Once you plant it, you'll want to put this in like a few containers and arrange them like a square or a rectangle, because they wind pollinate and they will pollinate each other. So make sure you do that, especially if you're a brand new gardener. You want to have, you want to kind of learn without having to go through some of the trials and errors that I've had to go through. So you just want to go straight to a winning crop. So this is a strawberry type of corn. We've got different types. This is a South American yellow popcorn. You've got certain ones that you grind up for grits, if you like grits, and you've got other ones that are more for popping corn and other ones that are more like a corn meal style. So get the variety that works for whatever uses that you need. Just remember to plant it in blocks. It's very nitrogen heavy. By the way, if you're getting any value from this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Also, we have the free Ultimate Fertilizer Guide that'll tell you for the top 40 crops at home what to fertilize, what fertilizers to use at what stage, and it's absolutely free. So next is going to be our cucumbers. This is a Market More cucumber. We've got one called Muncher and then Space Master. I did Space Master last year. It did very well. You can use like a rope or like a net trellis, something that's lightweight for these. They do need that trellis to climb, and they love reaching and climbing with their vines, but you don't need the metal or cow panel trellis. You just need like a net kind of trellis for these lightweight. Number 6 are our melons. For melons, I've got the Tender Sweet melon. That's one of our orange melons. And like I said, this time I'm going to actually be doing some compact ones. So there is an organic sugar baby that can be bought at multiple seed stores that is made to grow fast and be small for container gardening. So get that one if you're looking for something that's small. I've got some other ones that I got in like a seed grab bag from M.I. Gardener. So this Piel de Sapo is one of them. There's also one called tendril verdi tardif. So that's a good way if you're kind of open to trying different things. If you get those grab bags, and I have to be honest, they tend to release those like end of season. So like August, September, October, like those months, be on the lookout for those where you can get seeds at a discount if you're not tied to a certain variety of seed. 7 is going to be eggplant. This oswald is so funny to me. This is one that I'm getting out. Actually, today I'm going to make sure I get this one out because it takes forever to grow. You know, they grow and you get your eggplant, but you're talking about you've got to be in it for the long haul with this one. Normally, these will do just fine with a balanced fertilizer, and we had a great crop of eggplant multiple times last year. I'm focusing even more on succession planting this year. So as you see, this one grows really big. It's as big as this dog's head. It's hilarious. So that's one. There's also a Rosa Bianca. Some of these are purposely the heirlooms, but they're made to have less bitterness than some of the more standard eggplants. So just note that just depending on whether you like that bitterness or you don't like the bitterness, often bitterness in food is actually good a lot of time for gut health. A lot of times like things like, sauerkraut, things like that. But if you don't want the bitterness, just know that you can get certain kinds that are not as bitter. There's also one called Rosita that we have also here that we'll be planting. And then Black Beauty. Black Beauty was my star last year. It did so well. So I really, it grew well. It actually kept coming back until the frost set in. So that's just another option for you to start something in May. Number 8, radishes. Radishes, interestingly enough, and you can get different varieties that are actually year-round. You may think of them more as a cold or cool weather crop, but actually a lot of radishes are made to grow also in the spring. And so because of that, they're great because they're a companion plant. If you check out our companion planting video we've got a couple of them where I broke down what pairs well together. Radishes often are kind of like a general catch-all for a lot of other plants. If you plant them there, they'll keep their spiciness, keeps a lot of the pests away. So here is a hailstone radish. We've also got the Japanese daikon radishes from Mary's Heirloom. So Mary's is more no frills with their packaging, so you don't get all the pictures. They've also got watermelon radishes. So if you've seen those that have that light pink kind of color, the watermelon radishes are also available. So it's something to consider to put in your spring garden, also as a companion plant, even if you don't necessarily eat them. Number 10, tomatoes. So yeah, this year, want to make sure we get those tomatoes out. Again, they're going to be heavy on calcium feeding also. We've got Black Beauty, grew fantastically. I realized at some point that there's a Black Beauty there's a variety of eggplant that are Black Beauty. There are tomatoes that are Black Beauty. So that's something that's a common name across different crops. And so I'm going to focus on the pleated tomatoes this year, and in addition to just the standard ones, but this Aunt Lou's Underground Railroad tomato, I'm getting out early just so I can make sure I give it time to fully form the way it needs to form into a full fruit. And last but certainly not least, our zinnias, our beneficial flower mixes, our pollinators. So this one is beneficial attractant. It's from Sow True Seed. It's literally made to bring in all the good pollinators that you need for your garden. And so they also have a Southeast native flower mix. I used this last year for the first time. It grew so huge. It was almost as tall as my fence. It was just gorgeous, but it does take time to grow. So get your pollinators out there if you did not start them inside. A lot of this will be, direct sowing. Everybody's direct sowing most of the country at this time. Regardless of your zone, you're probably direct sowing. So get those pollinators out so you can go ahead and start getting those attractors out. And also we've got some zinnias here, and I've got a couple different kinds. There's a Thumbelina, which is made to be a shorter zinnia. This one's from Annie's Heirloom Seeds. So yeah, those are the 10 crops that you want to go ahead and get out in May, and that should cover pretty much most zones in the U.S. Download the free fertilizer guide. It's linked in the description, and feel free to join our free school community. It's also linked in the description. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.